Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Today I will be presenting a case study titled Fahmi Reza versus Public Prosecutor on 2019. This case is well known in Malaysia because it explored the limits of online expression, satire and how the law views digital communication under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. It gives us a clearer picture of how far our freedom of expression extends when we post or create content online. So without further ado, I would like to start with the facts of the case. In February 2016, Fahmi uploaded a Facebook graphic design to look like an official MCMC warning notice. The notice told the public to stop sharing edited clown images of a political figure. Authorities said the graphic was misleading because it closely resembled an official government notice. They also claimed it was created with the intention to annoy. Fahmi was charged under Section 23318 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. He was originally convicted and sentenced to 1 month in jail and fined 30,000 ringgit. He appealed the decision and the High Court eventually upheld the conviction but reduced the sentence to a 10,000 ringgit fine. Moving on to the issues of the case, there were several key issues before the High Court. First, whether the graphic counted as a false communication since Section 233 doesn't provide a detailed definition. And second, whether Fahmi actually intended to annoy and whether intention can be inferred from the situation rather than proven directly. The third one is whether the graphic can be considered political, satire or parody, and if that kind of expression should receive protection under freedom of speech. And finally, whether copying the look and format of an official government notice changes the legal character of the communication. So moving on to the next one, this is the judgment of the case. The High Court affirmed the conviction. The court ruled that the communication was false, not because the statements were untrue, but because the graphic imitated an official MCMC notice and had the potential to mislead the public. The court also held that intention to annoy could be inferred from the context, even without direct evidence or testimony from an affected person. The parody defense was rejected because the graphic did not clearly distinguish itself of a parody. However, the High Court agreed that the original sentence was too harsh and reduced it to a 10,000 ringgit fine. For the next one is analysis and critique. When analyzing this case, several points stand out. Firstly, the court relied heavily on inference to establish intention. This shows that Section 223 sets a relatively low bar for proving mental elements, which can make the law broad and flexible, but possibly too flexible. Secondly, the interpretation of false communication was quite wide. The decision focused on how the graphic looked rather than whether the statement inside were true. This means that form and presentation can be enough to trigger liability under the Act. And thirdly, the rejection of the parody defense highlights how limited the protection for political satire is in Malaysia, especially when official government imagery is involved. And finally, the case shows an ongoing tension. How do we balance cybersecurity regulation with freedom of expression? The law aims to prevent harm and misinformation, but its broad wording may also impact legitimate commentary, artistic expression, or criticism. In conclusion, Fahmi Reza versus Public Prosecutor is an important case for understanding how Malaysian cyber law applies to online communication. It reminds us that digital expression has legal boundaries, especially when it involves official symbols or political figures. The case also raised broader questions about how we interpret false communication and how much space we allow for satire in our online environment. Overall, the decision reflects the delicate balance between maintaining digital security and preserving the right to express opinions in a modern online society. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.